Hello and welcome to another episode of the Confident Musician Show. You are listening to 5 pro tips on how to set strong boundaries for musicians. I'm your host, Brett Cusack, aka Megalove, and I'm a musician, songwriting, and confidence coach. And at the Confident Musician, we help musicians to overcome self-doubt and overwhelm and create more confidence than you ever thought possible so you can make music, make a difference, and share your unique talents with the world. And let us know in the comments if you found anything in this video interesting, useful, or valuable. And if you know somebody else who would need some help setting some strong boundaries, you can tag them in this video or maybe send it to them in a DM if it's a bit of a sensitive thing. Alrighty, let's jump into our 5 pro tips of how to set strong boundaries for musicians. Tip number 1 is, what are yours and what are the other person's highest values? So every single person on the face of the earth has a fingerprint specific set of priorities that they are trying to fulfill in this world. So if you have an expectation on another human being that they are going to live in your values, or somebody else has an expectation that you're going to live in their values, there's going to be resentment and frustration going on. So at the end of the day, when you're really thinking about this person, you want to think about, what do they love to talk about? What can they do for hours and hours and hours, and no one has to remind them to do it? What do they always have money for? And so when you've got a really clear understanding of what's important to this person, that's probably most likely that's the things that are most important to them. And then at the end of the day, with tip number 1, are you helping them achieve what they love? And then are they truly interested in actually helping you? So that's tip number 1. What is your highest values or priorities, and what is their highest values? So making sure that you're appreciating your unique version and the unique way you see the world. Tip number 2 is to set a really clear intention with yourself what this boundary means to you, because it's not about setting a boundary. Setting a boundary on your own, going, yeah, I think this is a good idea to set this boundary. The challenge is not in setting the boundary. The challenge is in keeping the boundary. So you need to set a very clear intention with yourself about why this is important to you. And some additional elements to your intention, you might like to say what you would love to give and receive, and what are your expectations of a win-win scenario for you? So if you're in a band, or if you're talking with your partner or a potential partner or whatever it might be, you want to make sure that whatever the situation is, it's a win for you and it's a win for them. Because if it's not a win-win for both of you, then it's probably not a situation that I would want to continue with. So every relationship dynamic is different, and every single human being on the face of the earth has a different set of priorities. So you want to make sure that you're trying to find a win-win scenario for yourself and them. If it's not a win-win for you, then the win-win might be goodbye. But yeah, it definitely takes some character and strength to be able to commit to your boundary. But just warning you from the outset. So make sure you got a clear intention with that. Say g'day if you're watching live. Alrighty, tip number 3 is, do you have any unconscious motivators keeping you in a relationship that doesn't actually serve you? So what I want you to do here is, are you just holding on to something because you don't want to deal with an uncomfortable situation? You feel obligated to be in a relationship with them, or it's been something that's happened for so many years and you've changed but they haven't. So you want to make sure that you're aware of any unconscious motivators that might be keeping you stuck, that does not serve you anymore. So you might think that it's easy. Might be a unconscious motivator. It's easier not to have the conflict. So what are some higher quality ways of actually achieving easy? So achieving easy might be having to go through the hard thing in order to achieve easy on the other side. So tip 3 is to become aware of any unconscious motivators that may be keeping you in a relationship that doesn't serve you anymore. Tip number 4 is, all relationships are there to teach both parties and help them evolve. So the first thing we need to do is take responsibility for our role in the situation first. And if we're not taking responsibility for our role in the situation first, then it may be very confronting if we're trying to solve the problem in somebody else before we take responsibility for ourselves. So what we want to do here is also start to acknowledge that when you're experiencing this, we need to, like this, we're taking responsibility for our life, all of it as best we can, and then taking responsibility so we can actually learn and grow first. And then the second piece of this, because it's there for them as well, how is this situation occurring to help the other person grow? And why is this occurring for them? So starting to acknowledge that we're both in this situation, we're both resonating at this similar frequency, and we're both in this together. We've attracted each other for some sort of purpose. And then so actually acknowledge that you're important, and it's not just about you solving the problem, it's also about helping them become aware of their situation as well. So if you're not willing to do the work on yourself first, trying to fix the other person is going to be a feeble pursuit. So you need to take responsibility for yourself first. Tip number 5 is to get a coach or mentor to help you facilitate this situation or conversation. And that is why I've created my latest course, which is called Confidence and Happiness Secrets for Musicians. Inside there is how to understand and how to figure out what your values are, when you can use that same process to figure out what somebody else's values are. There's also some other elements on time management for musicians, how to avoid procrastination without overwhelm. There's a really cool 60-minute presentation on how to write songs that stand out. There's even a standout song scorecard in there as well. So you can get that on the link below this video. All right, let's recap our 5 tips for how to set strong boundaries for musicians. Tip number 1 is, what are yours and what are the other person's highest values? So making sure you're very clear that you understand what is most important to you, because if there's some sort of conflict, it's generally because somebody is trying to live in somebody else's values or trying to get the other person to live in their values or whatever it might be. So making sure that you're aware of what yours are and what theirs are. And then, are you actually helping them achieve what they love? And are they truly interested in helping you achieve what you love? Tip number 2 is to set clear intentions with yourself. It's one thing to set a boundary, but it is a whole nother thing to keep that boundary. So, pardon me. What would you love to give and receive? And what are your expectations of a win-win scenario? So, if it's not a win-win for both people, then it's probably a relationship dynamic that I wouldn't want to continue. And so you always want to make sure that it's a win for you and it's a win for them. Because if it's a win for you and a lose for them, then that's not a relationship I would want to continue. And if it's a lose for you and a win for them, then that's not a relationship I would want to continue either. So relationship dynamics do change. So with people that you've known for a long time, readjusting these things and having these conversations is incredibly important as well. Tip number 3 is, do you have any unconscious motivators keeping you in a relationship that does not serve you anymore? Trying to keep the peace and shrinking for another person, or maybe projecting onto them what you think they should do and not really worrying about them, might make you feel significant or validated or powerful. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that dynamic and actually acknowledging that you're maybe staying small for some reason or tall for some reason, and you want to make sure that you're looking for higher quality ways to get those same benefits, or higher quality ways of making that yourself feel significant. So it might be, going to do some open mic nights or write songs or develop yourself in some way. Tip number 4 is, all relationships are there to teach both parties and help them evolve. So with every situation, it's there to teach both people, even if it's a dynamic like this, where it's a boss and a dependent. It could be an education dynamic. It can be a relationship dynamic. It can be a band manager dynamic. Every situation that involves 2 people or groups of people is there to help both parties evolve. So making sure that you first and foremost are taking responsibility for your role in the situation and what it's there to teach you and who you have to become in order to deal with it. And then also acknowledging that situation is there to teach the other person. So you're not shrinking and going, I need to fix myself and I'm wrong and blah, blah, blah. That situation is there for them to learn as well. So helping them take responsibility for who they are as well, but always making sure you take responsibility for yourself first. Tip number 5 is, get a coach or mentor to help you facilitate this conversation or situation, because these situations can be quite challenging. So having somebody to guide and inspire you along that journey. I know for myself, learning this situation and then applying it is a whole nother kettle of fish. So if you might be interested in getting me to help you learn and grow as a human being or a musician, you can book a quick Q&A call with me. I help people with mental health challenges, emotional regulation, relationship dynamics, songwriting, music lessons. I've got some networking and collaboration events running as well. So please, if you're interested in any of those things, I might be able to help you. So book a call with me on the link below this video. There are limited spaces available, so make sure you book in very quickly. All right, thanks so much for watching this. My name is Brett Cusack, aka Megalove, and I am a musician and confidence coach, and I would love to be able to help you make music and make a difference. And I will see you on the next video. Catch you later. Bye-bye.